encourages me to try pickling like my Ashkenazi ancestors in Eastern Europe. She pushes her fist into a glass of freshly cut cabbage, forces her whole body weight into the mouth of the mason jar with the fury of survival, then gives it to me to carry home on a bus. I leave it on my Brooklyn counter. I live 6 blocks down the same street as where my great-grandfather lived. Somewhat remarkable for an early 20th century Jew to be a thriving architect in New York City, I always think. I hate pickles. I have never liked or willfully eaten sauerkraut. The smell makes me flare my nose. Every day, I open the lid of the glass jar to let the cabbage breathe. On the first day, it will not open. Elaine helps me hold it in my yoga mat as she twists it with her bare hands. The second day, it will not open. I hold the jar between my knees and twist it with the yoga mat until the liquid spills all over my floor, onto the red mat, and drips onto my black and purple meditation beanbag, the fermentation gasping for breath. The first time it develops fuzz, I strip it off with a spoon. The second time, I don't even look. I toss the whole top layer of fuzzing cabbage into my garbage can, pretending like it doesn't go through some drastic sort of shift. When I was 23 years old, I took a solo road trip around the United States. It was only at a motel in Cleveland, Mississippi, that a front desk clerk saw my driver's license and last name and asked if I was Jewish. Said I looked like a Jew, too. What with my nose? I didn't flare my nostrils that time. It's big, my nose. Looks a lot like my father's. I love you, Dad. This next line. His nose is huge. Okay. We can talk about this later. Okay. Good thing my sister's the therapist, but she doesn't work outside of the office, so we'll deal with it on our own. Okay. You'd think that being a 4th generation Jewish American Ivy League graduate might account for some kind of drastic shift. I like to call that assimilation, or pretending to take the top layer of fuzz from the fermenting cabbage and toss it in the garbage can like it wasn't even there. When I text Liz to tell her about the second batch of fudge, she tells me the jar is ready for the fridge. She says she's proud of me because she knew this was a risk. I eat a spoonful the next day, standing at my kitchen sink, the jar resting on the kitchen sink's edge. If it fell, the whole experiment would crack. If we fall, the whole experiment will crack. I'm just waiting for the fuzz to cover all the fermenting cabbage. Like if they send more immigrants home in buses or boats, who's to say we won't be next? When I bring a small container of the sauerkraut to my writing space the next day to have it as a snack, I open it up with my 2 hard-boiled eggs and a half of avocado. I know, it's so cliche. The stench is putrid, even though somehow I've come to want to eat the cabbage for quite literally the first time in my life. It smells like Jew. That's the first thing I think when I take the green lid off of the IKEA plastic container. This smells like shit. I convince myself that the person on the other side of the table is not leaving because she has finished printing her manuscript. I convince myself she is leaving from the table back to the writing room because of the smell. Because I smell. Because my Jewy sauerkraut is obstructing the air. My internalized anti-Semitism starts fermenting on the surface of my skin as I start to chew. It tastes good, the cabbage, for the first time in my life. And yet here I am, wanting desperately to hide. Tuck my Ashkenazi food into the corners of some closet the way my whole family has tried so hard to assimilate our skin. We call ourselves white now. We too have let the white supremacy ferment into the glass jars of our skin. My great-grandfather is buried above the ground in a mausoleum in Queens. In Jewish burial practices, the body is supposed to decompose in the ground. And here he is, great-grandfather, fuzzing at the lid. Thank you.